Hello and welcome to the JAGGAER 20.3 release feature demonstration for analytics. For this release, we've got some new user roles within Data Source Manager, which help to differentiate what the various users within your organization have access to within Data Source Manager. We've also got a new dashboard that tracks your organization's requisitions, including dimensions such as total spend, supplier information, etc., just like our typical dashboards. This feature is for customers who use both JAGGAER Indirect and JAGGAER Advantage, or JI and JA. Some organizations within that group have already been configured and some haven't. So if this is something you're interested in, I'd suggest reaching out to JAGGAER to let us know. We've also added a new dashboard that enables you to monitor how your organization's spend breaks down with regard to diversity. You'll see how much of your spend goes toward minority-owned companies, for example, as well as many others. And lastly, we'll touch on some additional enhancements that we've made for 20.3. So let's dive in and explore these new user roles. Until this point, the right to create data sources in Data Source Manager was just a yes or no permission, meaning that if you wanted to give a user the right to create a data source, that user also had the ability to edit and delete other users' data sources. So as a result, you either had to severely limit the number of people who could create data sources, or run the risk of exposing your organization's data sources too broadly. But now, using the new creator and viewer options, admins can manage user rights more effectively without the risk of losing information. Specifically, the new creator role gives people the ability to create their own data sources and copy existing data sources without compromising those data sources. So let's take a look. In order to see the benefits of this enhancement, you'll need to log into your JAGGAER instance, and you'll go to your Reporting pop-out menu on the left, select Analytics Administration, and then select Data Source Manager. From here, you'll see all of the various data sources that are present in your instance. I'll open up Standard Content, which is where most of mine are. And as you can see, there are a pretty wide variety of them in here. These are all data sources. And for those with creator rights, you'll see all of the data sources that you've created, regardless of what status they're in, along with all of the published and draft published data sources created by other users. I've only got draft published and they were all created by me, but I would see published and draft published from anyone who creates data sources in the instance. Additionally, as you can see under this editable column, I've got a little check mark next to all of these. That lets me know that I have editing rights to all of these data sources. Prior to 20.3, if I was one of the users in my instance who could create data sources, I also had the option of editing other people's data sources, which could potentially create problems and make it more difficult to manage who has access to creating data sources. But now with 20.3, I can come over to this gear icon under Actions. I can copy this data source and then make changes to it if I want to, without compromising the original data source. So if that data source is being used, for example, in some sort of Tableau calculation, I'm not going to be able to change it and it's not going to be affected by me. And I can also export it and make changes to it there. Additionally, if I select Copy Data Source, as you can see, just to note this, I have access to the entirety of it. I have all of these tabs up at the top. I can see the SQL script and anything that I'd like to see. So that's the creator role. Now if I log out and log back in as a viewer, let me open up my standard content again. As you can see, I can see the same data sources that I just saw when I was logged in as a creator. But now, being logged in as a user, I don't have any edit rights with regard to any of these. I can view them, but I can't change any of them. So it preserves your data, and it preserves the way that your instance is using the data. It mitigates the chance of any users inadvertently changing something. And additionally, as a viewer user, if I come over here to my gear icon under Actions, I can export this data source, but I can't copy it and I can't make any changes to it. So if I come back over here and open this data source up, as you can see, instead of having all of those tabs up here at the top that we just looked at a moment ago, when I was logged in with my creator role, under this viewer role, I only have a couple of tabs. I can see the details of it and I can't change them, and I can see a preview of the SQL script as it exists within that data source. Basically, you can see, but you can't interact with it. And anybody who's assigned as a viewer won't be able to change anything. Before this enhancement, users either had all access, including editing a data source directly within Data Source Manager, or they had no access to see any data sources. And with 20.3, we've given organizations the opportunity to manage access to the Data Source Manager in a more nuanced way. And this concludes our demonstration of these new user roles. For our next enhancement, we're going to discuss the dashboard for requisitions. So let's take a look. Before 20.3, customers who have both JAGGAER Indirect, or JI, and JAGGAER Advantage, or JA, didn't have easy visibility into their requisitions within their JA instance. But now, customers who have both JI and JA, and who've had this feature configured, will have visibility into their requisitions in a user-friendly dashboard. Just to mention it, this feature doesn't come standard. You'd need to have it configured if you're interested in it, so just let us know. Incidentally, it's also the first time we've used JI data within JA. So let's dive in. In order to find your requisitions dashboard, you'll need to go to your Reporting pop-out menu on the left, select Analytics, and select Reports. I could click this tab right here, or this link, it goes to the same place. And then once your reports load, you'll open up P2P. And as you can see, you've got P2P requisition summary, purchase order summary, and invoice summary. Each one of these are new, but they all function in the same way, so we'll focus on our requisition summary. I'll select that, and here it is, and I'll go ahead and select these arrows to hide the report tree so I can see it a little bit better. This dashboard, like our other dashboards, gathers all of your requisition information into one place, and it gives you a variety of ways to break down and investigate the data. As you can see, it gives you your average amount per requisition, your total requisition amount. It gives you your on-catalog amount and the percentage of your overall requisition spend that's on catalog. If I scroll down here, you can see additional information as well, like yearly totals and the status and supplier name and so on and so forth. One of the best ways to understand the data in this dashboard is to just select one of these data points. So for example, if I come over here to status and I select pending, then the entire dashboard is going to reorient itself around this data point. As you can see, everything in the summary bar has changed. All of the information across the dashboard has changed based on this selection. And you can do that with any of these if I wanted to further investigate any part of this. Additionally, if I come over here to show filters up in the upper right, it'll give me the opportunity to select multiple dimensions at once and then apply them to the data. So this dashboard is a very useful tool. It gives you total visibility into your organization's spend with regard to your requisitions. And that concludes our demonstration of our new requisitions dashboard. Our next enhancement for 20.3 is our dashboard for diversity monitoring. Before 20.3, organizations had to track their own diversity spending internally. But now the new diversity monitoring dashboard enables organizations to track and to analyze their spend with regard to the diversity of their supplier base. This new feature gives you information on how much you're spending with a wide range of diversity dimensions, such as minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and more. So let's take a look. In order to find your diversity dashboard, you go over to your Reporting pop-out menu, select Analytics, select Reports, and open up Admin. And as you can see, here it is, Spend Supplier Diversity Dashboard. So I'll select that. While that opens, I'll hide my report tree. And as you can see, here we are. The diversity dashboard shows you the entirety of your organization's spend. So your organization in total, as you would see with the spend visibility dashboard, is 4.1 billion. This is showing you the entirety of your organization's spend. And from here, as you can see, it breaks down your spend with regard to the diversity of your supplier base, showing you how much you spend, for example, with small businesses, woman-owned businesses, others, which includes a wide variety of dimensions, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. There's a lot of information here. As with other dashboards, you can select your Show Filters button up in the upper right, and you can sort and filter this dashboard however you like. And you can also select any dimension that you would like, and it will reorient the rest of the dashboard around that dimension. So for example, if I wanted to select woman-owned, it resorts the entirety of the dashboard around this information, around this criteria. Each of these suppliers that it's showing me, for example, are listed as woman-owned businesses. And all of these categories showing me how much I'm spending on professional services within the woman-owned category, so on and so forth. I'll deselect that, and I want to scroll down to the bottom to show you one other component of this dashboard. If I come down here to my diverse supplier spend details and click this Show Details button, it'll show you all of the various designations your suppliers have. So for example, a couple of these have more than one. JGP Lone Star Transport, in my data here, for example, is listed as a small business and a woman-owned business. And as you can see, this is where you would see the various additional categories that exist. And so this dashboard is a great way to visualize how your organization's spend contributes to the wider global community and lets you track your progress on your organization's diversity initiatives. And this concludes our demonstration of our new diversity monitoring dashboard. 20.3 was a big release within analytics, and there are a handful of additional enhancements we wanted to mention. In addition to the enhancements we've looked at, we've also given users the ability to refresh a Tableau extract directly from within Data Source Manager. Also, you can use drag and drop functionality within a calculated field within DSM. There's also a new DSM folder hierarchy. You can export data security profile user information. You can also create an invoice summary dashboard as part of JAGGAER integration, as well as a purchase order dashboard as part of JAGGAER integration. And that follows along with what we discussed with regard to the requisitions dashboard. So those function in exactly the same way that we discussed. For more information, please review the full release notes, which can be found at library.jagger.com. Now that you've learned about the new features available with regard to the JAGGAER 20.3 release for analytics, start testing them for your organization. We hope this new functionality will empower procurement at your organization, and we welcome you to contact us with your questions and feedback.